3, 2.
Action.
And hey, everybody, welcome back to the basement for another episode of For Profit Blogging Videocast. How about if I go like that, Kathleen?
Woo!
That's our very expensive. You've no idea what this cost.
Yeah, because we have to print it every time.
That's right. Actually, you can tell we haven't printed that one in a while. I think we complained about that last time, that I need to print one. Hey, everybody, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy from For Profit Blogging Stacking Benjamins. With me, as always, is my talented partner, Kathleen Selmans.
Hey, everyone.
We today are going to talk about conferences because I'm about to go to one of two conferences I go to every year. Well, starting last year because it was the first year they had this particular conference. It's the Podcast Movement Conference. But Kathleen, you go to a couple conferences a year too.
I do, yeah.
Yes, correct. Which ones do you go to?
I go to FinCon and I try to go to one other I haven't been to before.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk about what we do because for us, we've got a list of points here of things to remember when you go to conferences that we're kind of reminding ourselves about this week. And I'm trying to psych myself up for this conference. The first thing is to know yourself because especially for me, I come across, many people tell me, as a real extrovert, and yet I'm not. I'm very much an introvert, and it takes... I've been doing camera stuff for a long, long time, so I'm used to it and I know what the job is, but I'm exhausted when I'm around people every second of every day. So it's, I have to try to schedule time between times that I'm with people just to make sure that when I'm with people that I'm actually plugged in. I remember a couple times at this particular conference last year, Kathleen, where I was in a group of people, they were all talking and somebody turned to me and go, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about because I am so zoned out. But I think knowing yourself is a big part of it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think I'm more extroverted than introverted, but I keep seeing requests for roommates on the FinCon group. And I keep thinking, gosh, it would be really nice to have my own room this year.
I spring every year for my own room because it's my only sanctuary. And I know that's not the frugal thing to do, but when you're trying so hard to be extroverted all the time, I need that room. And last year at FinCon, I mean, I might have had 1 hour in my room besides the time that I was passed out, usually half drunk in my bed, which isn't great sleep, by the way. So I need to have my own room. I think you're going to do the same this year, right?
Yeah.
Own room, own space. Absolutely. Number 2 on our list is to come with an agenda. What are you talking about there?
Oh, I don't mean like, get as many business cards as you possibly can, but remember why you wanted to go and make sure that you make it worth your while, because if you don't, then you're not going to have a good time. So what do you want out of the conference? Make sure that you are actively going after what you want. Is it more contacts with advertisers? Are you looking to connect with your friends? Are you looking to make more friends? What do you want out of the conference? If you don't think about it and you don't actively look for that, you're not going to have as much of a good time at the conference.
That's a good point because I've been to so many conferences where a friend of mine and I will both go to the same conference and he won't like it. He'll get done saying that was a total waste of time. And I'm like, really? I came back with tons of stuff, but it's mostly because of that. I always go in with an agenda and I think about what I want to take home from that. And if I don't get everything that I originally wanted, I try to scramble on site to find out what it is. But part of that is 2 things. Number 1 is look for lists of the attendees. Are there certain people you want to make sure that you meet, certain key contacts that you want to at least introduce yourself to? Now, the hard thing is introducing yourself at a conference is difficult because, especially for somebody like me, it's hard for me to go in and just interrupt somebody and say, hi, I'm Joe. I know you're in the middle of talking to somebody else about something else. And it's always kind of awkward, So I try to make the introduction there and then email them after the conference to really start building the bridge.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially if, they're talking to somebody else. And a lot of people who are at blogging conferences are there because they're not extroverted. So when you approach somebody and say, hey, I wanted to meet you, I really like your stuff, sometimes it can get weird and they don't like it.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm attached to the show, The Good Wife, and this woman one of the main characters went on a hunting trip with her husband, and there was a big time businessman there who their firm really wanted as a client. And they're doing this other activity. And she walked up and she goes, "Hey, I was talking to your wife and she said, you guys are looking for a new firm." And the guy's like, "Excuse me." So also just remember, if somebody's in the middle of a really light conversation, to keep it light. I've seen that awkwardness happen before too, where, good stuff's going on and all of a sudden it turns really awkward. Also, and probably even bigger, because you might know who's there, but people that are there to sell their stuff are vendors. And when it comes to vendors, especially for us bloggers, I mean, there are some that might want spokespeople. There's some that might want sponsored posts. There's some that might want advertising on your site. I mean, figuring out which vendors you think you have synergy with and introducing yourself to them at the very least will put you on their radar. And that's important, especially just to make the conference pay for itself. Every year I've gone to the financial blogging conference, FinCon, I've actually had that make money for me. So make the conference make money for you.
There's a good agenda.
There it is right there. And then we have it. Next is choosing the sessions. Now, this was funny, Kathleen, because this particular conference I'm going to is called Podcast Movement. You got somebody who's got to be let out? Does he got to be let out? No, he doesn't? All right. Might as well. So I looked at the speakers and I thought the list of speakers was really good, but then I looked at the sessions and I'm not that happy with the sessions at Podcast Movement. And the reason is a lot of the vendors are also speakers, which means that in most cases, because I've been to a lot of conferences, in a lot of cases, those sessions are thinly veiled advertisements for their product. Like as an example, there's one guy who's talking about the importance of statistics and following your statistics with your podcast and digging more out of your statistics. I thought, wow, that's really cool. And then I looked to see who he was, and he's a dude with a company that does the statistics. And so then I thought, I don't know that I really want to go to that. So I try to stay away from vendors that are giving presentations. I can get their presentation one-on-one at a booth, right? And they can teach me whatever they want to teach. At the very least, most of these conferences come with a video with virtual pass. I can watch their video later. I'm not going to waste my time there going to that. And the second thing, and I don't know how you feel about this, Kathleen, I hate, and hate's not too strong a term, I hate panels. Panel discussions are such a waste of time.
I don't think I agree.
No? Well?
I mean, it depends on the panel for sure. But a lot of times you're right. The panels are a group of people getting together to talk about how great they are.
Well, or one person makes a point. This is what happens. You got four people on the panel. One person says, well, I think the A, B, C, D, E. And then the second person says, I love what they said. And let me restate that a different way, A, B, C, D, E. And then the third person goes, I love what they said, but if I can add an F to that, let me tell you A, B, C, D, E again, and then add an F. I'm like, oh my God, we could have done this in a third of the time if we didn't have the whole panel discussion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. But I go to them sometimes just because it's my friends on the panel and, I want to be the one like sending them softball curves.
I do like that at panel discussions. If I can get 4 or 5 top bloggers in a room or top experts in a certain area in a room, and I can ask them key questions that I think, I can get 5 opinions all at one time. And the Q&A at panels is generally pretty good.
Yes.
I will agree with you on that point. I'm surprised we disagree there. It's good.
Yeah, me too.
Let's talk about business cards. What do you think about bringing business cards?
Oh, I think they are a fun distraction. And designing your own business cards feels like work, but I don't think it's worth it. Not that you shouldn't spend $40 or whatever, but I don't think when you have a business card, you're giving away your power. So instead, get business cards, connect with people, remind them who you are. Send emails, make the connection instead of coming back with an empty box of business cards.
Yeah, give out all your business cards and hope the phone rings.
Yeah.
I think it's important, especially, and I mean, let's be clear, blogging is a low barrier of entry job. And that means anybody can do it, right? And if anybody can do it, you have to work harder. You have to be more outgoing. You have to do all the little things that somebody else isn't going to do. That just comes with the game. If somebody had to pay, like if you own a McDonald's and you have to pay a ton of money to own one, the barrier to entry is huge. And then you can, once you paid that money, you can relax a little bit. We don't have that. We don't have that ability. You've got to be on the outward. I totally agree. How about that? We're 1 for 2 now. My last point for today is this: when you're on your way home, make sure that you write out what your so what's were. Write down the take-home points that you need to implement. So many people go to these conferences and they get this head full of great stuff, and then they implement absolutely none of it. Well, the key isn't to go hear about it. The key is to actually do something. So what I tried to do on the plane on the way home is take my to-do or my notes, turn it into a to-do list that's specifically tied to my calendar so that I know not only what I need to do, but when I'm going to actually address it. I need to make sure that as many of those things get in the workload as possible. That hugely, I can't tell you how many great conferences I've been to, Kathleen, where I got so many great to-dos, and then I find the notes like 8 months later and I've done nothing.
Unless like your goal was to make notes.
Yeah. Or go to Tucson and hang out at the pool.
Yeah.
Use it as a getaway. Anything else you got on that topic?
No, I like writing recaps though. If you don't have to publish them, because a lot of times everyone who goes to the conference has that same exact recap. But I like to have that recap that if I were to publish it, fine. If not, then it's, here's the session I went to and here's what I'm going to do. Because you're right. It doesn't matter what you learn if you're not implementing anything.
Yeah, and you know what? That's actually another point that I didn't even think about, which is use the conference to create material. If you've got experts there and whatever you want to write about, or people that potentially could be articles or podcasts or whatever you want to do, man, create stuff there. I know that this podcasting conference, podcast movement last year, there was hardly anybody podcasting. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to already that are doing podcasting at this conference this year. Like all of a sudden everybody got it at once, right? Podcasting conference. Podcasting. If you go to a blogging conference, if there's anybody, even if it's not a speaker, if there's somebody that's coming that would be an interesting interview for your site or an interesting connection for, a quote for your site, use that too. That's huge.
Yep.
That's fantastic. All right. That's going to do it for this week, I think. Everybody, a lot more on the For Profit Blogging website. Meet us there. And we have awesome newsletter over there. So sign up for our newsletter, forprofitblogging.com. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.